What's up, guys? LQ here with my fresh out of the theater review of the Expendables 4. Okay, so was this movie a good movie? I don't know. Good is subjective, right? Did I like it? Yeah, I liked this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. The action was great. It was definitely they definitely upped the ante from the third movie for sure. I'd say the action is not as good as what we got in 1 and 2, but it was definitely better than 3, and a lot of that is because they didn't have the handcuffs that they had with the PG-13 rating in Part 3. Part of this marketing campaign was that it was going to be R-rated, and it was R-rated, and it was R-rated because of the violence and the carnage in this film. And that made it a lot of fun. People signed up for the first 2 movies because of the promise of the carnage candy we were going to get. And the first 2 movies largely delivered on it. The third movie didn't. And the third movie obviously failed at the box office. I kind of expect this one to fail. But I think that's more of an indictment on the third movie than the fourth movie, because this was a lot better than the third one. It was very different than the first 3, whereas the first 3 movies had very well-known and established villains. The first one was Eric Roberts, which was kind of hilarious. The second one was Jean-Claude Van Damme. The third one was Mel Gibson. Here in the fourth one, the bad guy was a little nebulous until the very end. You weren't quite sure who the bad guy was. Much of the action, if not most of the action in this movie, is on a boat, a shipping boat, and that kind of made it feel a little constrained. It just felt a little smaller than the other 3 movies did. But because it felt a little smaller, I think that we were able to get a different kind of action than we got in the first 3 movies. The first 3 movies had very a wide array of action sequences, and in this movie there was a lot of close combat, a lot of hand-to-hand combat and very close gunplay. And so and I know that those things existed in the first 3, but I just felt like we got a lot more of it in this one. This was a very Jason Statham-driven movie. The Barney Ross character, I didn't like what they did with him in this character, or in this movie. Sylvester Stallone, obviously, I love Sylvester Stallone, big fan of him. And I'm a big fan of the Barney Ross character, and I'm not a fan of what they did with him in this movie. They made a creative decision, a narrative decision early in the movie that took him out of the action for most of the film. And I didn't like it because he's been such a presence. Him and Jason Statham playing off of each other has been such a big part of this franchise that he was missed. You felt his absence in this movie. The marketing really played up the Megan Fox character, and while she was obviously very present in this film, I didn't feel like that they overdid her character, and I still haven't really bought her as like a action character, as an action actor. I know that she's taken a couple stabs at it now, and I just don't necessarily buy it completely. But she wasn't good, she wasn't bad, she was serviceable. I'll say she was serviceable in this movie. But this was very much a Jason Statham film. He drove the whole thing. So yeah, this was a revenge tale of sorts where Jason Statham was out looking for revenge, and the rest of the Expendables are very much kind of supporting characters in a Jason Statham-led action film. Very, very much so. Very much his movie, his story, and he's very much at the front and center of the entire narrative. Really, the only Expendables that we get from the other movies outside of Jason Statham and Sylvester Stallone is we get Randy Couture and Dolph Lundgren, and both of them are kind of played for jokes, especially Dolph Lundgren. Didn't love the way they were treated, but it is what it is. So, did I like this movie? Yeah, I liked it. I had fun with it. It was a good time. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Expendables 1 and 2 were high art, because they weren't. But it definitely doesn't have the marquee value of parts 1 and 2. And it doesn't really necessarily even have the names that part 3 had. This is very much a smaller movie in almost every scale. So if you can go into it knowing, yes, this is going to be a smaller movie, and it's not going to have the big names, it's not going to have the big action sequences, even the CGI. I mean, there was a couple parts of this movie where the CGI was really not very good. If you go into this expecting it smaller budget, smaller, not as many big names, the action sequences to be a little smaller, if you go in expecting that, I think it's better than the third one. So that's my take on the Expendables 4. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and thanks for watching.